evening, sanibonani babukele makhaya ngiphinde nginamukele ohlelweni labaholi benu bakusasa One Day Leader. Igama nginguPearl Wagwashongwe. Welcome to One Day Leader, the show that follows 6 young people who showcase their leadership skills by tackling modern-day social, economic and political issues to compete for the coveted title of being South Africa's One Day Leader. Tonight we will be talking about township economies, both their development and revitalization. On this show, we want to find out if South Africa's township entrepreneurs can indeed play a major role in growing the economy and participating in job creation. Let me get down to the business that we've all been wanting to get an update on. How did you, the viewers, score our leaders in last week's debate challenge? Let's take a look at the results.
This week's viewer scoreboard sees Leader 3, Kuhlekonke, leading the pack this week with 1,433 viewer votes, and Leader 4, Bhekisisa, as the last person on the list with 97 votes. Now this means that Leader 3, Kuhlekonke, gets 1 point. Congratulations! Now let's take a look at our series scoreboard. Leading the pack is Leader 4 with 11 points, followed closely by Leader 3 and Leader 5 with 10 points each. It's truly down to the wire.
Mzansi, for your ongoing participation. Your votes do indeed count. Back to today's show. Tonight we put the township economy under the spotlight. Our townships have always been a hub of economic activity. When I was growing up, we had spaza shops, general dealers, butcheries and bakeries, to name but a few, that were run by resilient black entrepreneurs who stood defiant against apartheid laws that prevented black people from owning and running their businesses. Come the dawn of democracy, all this came to an end. However, today there is a renewed effort to boost economic activity in the township and develop a new breed of township entrepreneurs. Mzansi, this leads me to tonight's debate topic. Can township economies be an engine of economic growth and development? Now remember, you at home can join the conversation and share your experiences by visiting our Facebook page. It's One Day Leader SA to share your thoughts on the topic. Also check out our Twitter page at One Day Leader, and remember to use that all-important hashtag OneDayLeader6. Now our leaders are set in position to tackle this issue. Let's hear what their vision statements are. Leader 1, your vision statement, please.
Thank you, Pearl. South Africa needs a revolution in the quality of her leadership. As a rising leader of South Africa, I am determined to contribute to the creation of a disciplined leadership culture. Let's get to the business of the day today, of leading with integrity and discipline. If we can lead ourselves well, we can lead a nation even better. South Africa, please vote for me. It is only with your support that I can do well in this show. The future is female. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Leader 2.
In 1995, I was born into poverty, but South Africa, you never abandoned me. You took me to school by your hard-earned tax money. Today, I am here because of you. Don't stop what you started. Help me redeem Africa by voting Leader number 2. Thank you so much.
Kuhlekonke, you're welcome.
I am Womanda, armored in hope and faith, marching towards the realization of the dreams of African women. Striving for a country where young people are no longer bound by chains of generational poverty and illiteracy. A country that pursues and accomplishes indigenous prestige. And by that, I welcome you to the unchained generation.
Hello, Leader 4, your vision statement, please.
Thank you very much. I believe in a South Africa where the means of production benefit the poorest of the poor. The property ownership is not in favor of the selected few. Indeed, a South Africa that does not see color, it sees humanity. This is our generational mission. Nothing and no one can stop us.
Leader 5, it's your turn.
My grandmother tells me of a South Africa where umuntu was umuntu ngabantu, where it was kindness and not political affiliation that ruled the land. Wealth and success can conquer nothing if we have lost our humanity. It begins and ends with us. Mayibuye i-Afrika.
Well, good evening, Leader 6. Welcome.
Thank you, Pearl. I envision a leader that will empower a child from a rural area in a township to lead, give a nation access to the land and quality education for the economy to remain alive. South Africa, join me in chancing for change.
Thank you very much, leaders. From those vision statements, I can tell that you're hot on the campaign trail this evening. Well, South Africa, these are your leaders. This before you is leadership potential in the making. If you are in the private, government or civic sector and are looking for new talent to join your organization, then don't waste time. Email us now at onedayleader@sabc.co.za. Now it's over to our voting system. Your votes do count in deciding which leaders stay in the competition, especially as we draw closer to our final episodes. Let's take a look at how you can keep any one of these leaders in the running. To vote for Gugulethu, SMS 1 to 32672. To vote for Philasande, SMS Leader 2. For Kuhlekonke, SMS Leader 3. For Bhekisisa, SMS Leader 4. For Sibonisile, SMS Leader 5. And for Zongezile, SMS Leader 6. Now over to our guest judge. The National Youth Development Agency, the NYDA, is a South African-based agency established primarily to tackle challenges that the nation's youth are faced with. Nurturing young entrepreneurs is important for the NYDA, given South Africa's high unemployment rate within the youth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Chairperson of the NYDA, Mr. Sifiso Mtsweni. Mr. Mtsweni, welcome. What role can township entrepreneurs play in trying to eradicate poverty and youth unemployment in this country?
Well, thank you very much for having us here today. Greetings to the young leaders and to everybody else. Look, the issue, as you started the show, the issue of township economy has always been a very big issue in the country. Most of us were raised by mothers and fathers who ran tech shops, who ran taxi businesses, who ran butcheries, you know. So, but as you know, today there's been a lot of concentration in the townships with other business interests coming into the townships. Today we've got malls, we've got all sorts of things that are actually happening there. But that on its own is actually an opportunity, especially for young entrepreneurs to come into that particular space. As you know very well, in our township, we have a lot of innovation. For instance, we've seen how a lot of young people were able to turn even recycled bottles into glasses and so on and so forth. So how do we ensure that young innovators are able to create their own space within the township economy, but at the same time, all the big businesses that are investing into the townships, whether it's malls, whatever shops that come there, they must now be told that young people need their own space. There shouldn't be a mall where there is no youth-owned businesses. There shouldn't be transport businesses where there's no youth-owned ownership. There shouldn't be anything that takes place in the townships without the ownership of young people. So it's important that young people must stand up and ensure that they take those opportunities and use them to the best possible way.
Chair, thank you very much. Of course, let's not forget, we also have our resident judges. They are Catherine Constantinides, an environmentalist, entrepreneur, social activist, and businesswoman, and Tebohoti Tseho, entrepreneur, public relations guru, and founder of Read a Book Essay. Let's give them a warm welcome. Our townships face several infrastructure challenges that pose a threat to growth in economic activity. Poor road networks, water sources and electricity grids currently make township areas unviable as potential commercial sectors and service points for industrial transformation. However, others argue that developing township economies is more about building better communities, keeping the township randela circulating longer and giving residents an option into the world of small business activity. Are we expecting too much from our township entrepreneurs to solve our country's economic development ambitions? Well, let's see how today's task relates to this matter. Good day, leaders. For your task this week, you will meet entrepreneurs who are changing the face of the township economy. Lebo is the founder of Soweto Backpackers, who found international acclaim with his Gussie flavor bike tours. Wandi and Khalibowe are the founders of the Thesis Pioneers brand in Gussie streetwear and fashion. You will also meet Lerato Khatebe, who is one of the founding members of the award-winning Khwapele Bakery based in Kagiso. Your task this week is to truly uncover the engine of township economy. Is it thriving? What's slowing it down? Who are the players that make economic development within the townships possible? As usual, leaders, truly investigate this matter, look at it from all angles and leave no stone unturned. Bhekisisa, you are the leader on this task. Make sure that you successfully lead and guide your team so that at the end of this, you're fully prepared for what lies ahead behind the podiums. Slay.
I've came to a conclusion of, because I am leading this task, so I have to lead from the front. I am going to the backpackers person with Zongezile, and then these two beautiful women next to me will go to see the fashion person, and then Philasande and Gugu, you will see the bakery person. Yeah. So leave no stone unturned. Don't have your answers without asking your questions. Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Welcome back to One Day Leader, South Africa's #1 show on grooming leadership talent to confront the challenges facing our modern-day societies by providing solutions through critical thinking and rigorous debate challenges. Today's topic is, can township economies be an engine of economic growth and development? Township entrepreneurs today are also facing other personal challenges in growing their business enterprises. Big malls have established themselves in these communities and have been partly blamed for the demise of small spaza shops. Another challenge, Mzansi, has been the rise of foreign-owned stores who are accused of undercutting similar family-owned businesses. Now let's hear from our Kasi business owners about both the good and the bad of running a township enterprise.
The first thing I want to know is, where does this idea come from? Because it looks so different to the average Gasi store.
The second I walked into the store, I felt like I was in an art gallery.
So we really obviously love this place, but tell us about the idea and how you got it and how you put this together, because it's so different from other stores that we've seen at Gas.
Okay, rewind 15 years ago, after matric. Don't have anything to do. I go around buying second-hand clothes with a group of friends. And then from then, just changing those clothes, working at Edgar's. I want to do my own thing. My friend is a designer. Let's combine those skills. Street culture was still popping up globally. There's only a few brands that were doing it. Even locally, if you had to look, it was only my chance, Lokshin culture. And then we felt like there needs to be a next generation of people. But hey, why can't we do it in the hood? Because you look at these stores, they're doing it in their own neighborhoods, you know. And those stores, in a way, they kind of change the face of the neighborhood. And with us, it was like, let's change the face of a corner shop, bottle store, but a place for culture for young people.
When I was talking to him, I was hoping to get his experiences and, you know, like what hindered him. Is it izinto abhekane nazo ukuthi abantu basemphakathini abangisizi, or uhulumeni awungilekeleli. When we were talking to him, he was so optimistic and he was talking about all the successes. And I think we're not hearing enough about the successful stories of how Black people are depending on their own communities to make their business flourish. And I think that was exciting.
The more we highlight the Kasi economy, the more we highlight Kasi entrepreneurship, the more people can learn that you can literally wake up and go shopping, like full-on shopping next door. And I think like we need to change those perceptions, Uguti. Everything that's good enough, everything that is sort of posh or, you know, is worthwhile is outside of where we are.
As we were walking into the bakery, I was very keen to hear from the business owner about how she's managed to make her business a success. How did you start this business, and imapama challenges owandlula?
There's a pastry chef in the family, and then I said to him, let's start a business, and then we can see how far we can get. The hard time comes from the access to the market.
Okay.
I'm a contract. Yes. You see, the community, we can service the community, but it's not a guaranteed income.
How much value do you bring to the community, you as a business owner?
What I usually do, or tell and then we offer a baby the Google. There is a lady who was studying and about to look at the practicals. We are in negotiation with the food and bev sector, learnership. They're only taking 2 from us and 3 from the community. And all 5 of those people, but the practicals.
Most of our businesses are led by people who are not inclined in terms of skills in those businesses. And also, their capital, it's quite short, they are undercapitalized, not to last for a very long time. And that kills a lot of entrepreneurs.
Ucabangane ngokufika kwamamoli, ukufika kwama-Pakistan emalokishini, i-competition e-grand, iyabheda, iyasikhawatha, kanjani?
Personally, I feel it's unfair competition because, during apartheid, besicindezekile ukuthi singaziboni ona amabhizinisi, singaziboni ukuthi nathi kunento singayenza for abantu bethu. So uma kuza amabhizinisi angaphandle, bazabona bane experience ethize esingakabi nayo, then sifile ukuthi nathi no man abakasiphi chance ukuthi sizithole and silethe izinto zabantu esifuna abantu bethu. So amamola yeza yibo abasitshela ukuthi fanele sidle ini, yibo abasitshela ukuthi fanele sigqoke kanjani, abalandeli ukuthi thina siphila kanjani. For example, I'm a Pakistani, right? Asabantu ngathi singabayeza maba itoro masivaliwe bazohlala nathi baphuze nathi bayeza ukuthi sikhuluma ngani. You understand? So and then at the end of the day basithengisela izinto bona abacabanga usiyasifuna.
If Somalians or Indian people or any foreigner for that matter comes and builds a shop in my yard, there has to be a document that says that the person inside that house benefits, the community benefits.
What I learned from Lego today is that, yes, foreign nationals can come, but they must be prepared to transfer skills. They can't come and milk our economy and live like that.
In a developing country and actually in a market like South Africa, which is both a developing and a developed country, what is the impact or the importance of local economies?
The World Bank conducted a study which tells us that township economies are estimated to be worth about 100 billion in Gauteng. So what it means is that there is a huge buying power, and unfortunately, that 100 billion does not circulate in the townships. It goes out.
We need to regulate township businesses.
Malls are collapsing industries in the townships. Malls are milking money in the townships.
I think what I got from his message was we need to push the ideology. We need to get, especially Black people, to get into entrepreneurship, to start more businesses, but they cannot do it without government.
There are perceptions that there's unfair competition between foreign nationals and local residents in townships, and that's because of poor border control in terms of the goods which are bought from other countries. What have you done to try and engage such ideals and perceptions in townships?
Yeah, what you call illicit trading, the influx of illegal products. So it's a big problem, and not just for the townships. Even for, you remember President Thabo Mbeki was heading a AU commission on illicit trade, monies that are leaving our country, our shore, our continent illegally, and all that. You've got cigarettes that are coming into the country legally, alcohol and all sorts of things. It's a big problem. Obviously, we have to close our borders. We have to work with the police. And we must also help organize our people, because in certain instances, it's not just these illegal goods. In certain instances, it's these foreign nationals work together to buy in bulk, and therefore they get things cheaper. And
it's like a stock fella.
Exactly. So we have to also organize, you know, abantu basekhaya bathanda ukuze umunye nomunye ufuna ukwenza into yakhe. So if we can try and get a situation where bayasebenzisana and bayasizana and they buy in bulk, I think it can go a long way.
A one-day leader. It's now time to hear from our judges about how our leaders performed in this week's task. Nene Makaya, you can also join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page. That's One Day Leader SA to share your comments on tonight's topic. Also visit our Twitter page at One Day Leader, and remember to keep us trending by using that all-important hashtag OneDayLeader6. Well, judges, let me find out from you how you think our leaders performed on the task, and will you be awarding points? Tabogo?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say good leadership by Bhekisisa. You led them very well. The idea of separating them, you know, using their strengths in order for them to go and seek out information was very good. And you also, some of your analytical tools that you used, you and Philasande, specifically, you really stood out in this task. I think it's a team effort, so everybody will be getting a point. Give them a round of applause. However, going into the debates, I want you to elevate your level of content. When we talk about the township economy, we need to discuss how do you meaningfully participate in the mainstream economy. So you shouldn't be segregated to only the food and beverages side. When you start a company that sells T-shirts, you should be able to take those T-shirts and sell them in the urban areas. You should be able to get them into the retail stores, some of the mainstream retail stores. So we don't want to minimize it to hand to mouth. But we want to go beyond and above that, where they go into some of the bigger industries, like I want to see a bank in the townships. So I want you to think about that as you debate, how do they participate meaningfully, not just hand to mouth.
All right, thank you very much, Tabogo. Our debate topic still is, can township economies be an engine of economic growth and development? Before we start with our first debate, let's take a look at the rules of engagement.
These are the rules for the One Day Leader debate. You have 30 seconds to state your vision statement, 60 seconds for the opponent to challenge, and 30 seconds to conclude your debate.
Now, our first debate will be between Leader 4 and Leader 2. Zindala Zombini, Bhekisisa, your 30 seconds starts now.
Well, township economy, it is an engine for economic growth in this country, but I don't agree with the poorly conceptualized township economy to condemn spaza shops. The agenda, it is to do away with unemployment and inequalities in this country. How do we deal with that? We integrate our people in the townships to the mainstream economy. How do we deal with that? We create rules that will allow production capacity so that our people in the townships, our people in the metropolis can also have an opportunity to produce their own goods and services and sell them within the country and within the metropolis and outside the metropolis.
Yes, 60 seconds start now.
I hear you talk of rules. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, we have EMPD, we have JMPD, which are always regulating vendors on the streets. Why are we not expanding that to ensure that our people are also protected in the townships so that they can also pursue and compete at the global level with other people from other economies?
Having so much regulations in the business industry, how do you see businesses thriving in that? Having so much regulations, how do you see them, thriving?
It's not so much regulation. It is just
protecting. We already have regulations. regulations.
No, it's not enforced and it's not expanded.
But you spoke of, getting more rules, and something else you spoke of.
It's not
also,
more.
You're condemning the malls. You're condemning the malls. Have
Yeah.
you seen the capacity the malls have in employment compared to a spot shop?
Capacity of employment in the malls.
Exactly.
The only employment to get in the malls is to be a shopkeeper.
What's wrong with that?
Low pay.
Now look at a spaza shop that is owned by one family.
But they sell things that are coming from Europe.
How many
they sell
people
things
does
that are
one
coming from
spaza
other
shop
countries.
employ?
Time is up, leaders. Bhekisisa, you have the remaining 30 seconds.
I would like first to salute Ekurhuleni West TVET College for giving assistance to sound business ideas to our people in the townships. For township economy to really see the light, we need entrepreneurs. We need people who have the ability to identify the need and solve the problem. But to be a successful entrepreneur, you don't only need funding from NYDA, you don't only need assistance from government, you need to have the heart. It has to start in the heart. You must believe in what you are doing. You must master the art of perseverance, because if you master that, there is no business
Time is
idea.
up. Time is up, Bhekisisa. Time is up. You're not sticking to the rules of engagement. Philasande, you now have 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, our economies in the townships are doing very well, but the biggest problems we face are the regulations. There's too much regulations. 2017, I wanted to start a bank in the township using the Stockful model, but due to the regulations by SAB, it's too much. SAB, it's too much. It's very hard to penetrate as a entrepreneur in the township. Secondly, if you want to start a liquor business, getting a liquor license is strenuous. It's almost impossible. It's very hard to get that. So now, if we could cut down on regulations like America is doing currently, cut down on regulations, we could have businesses thriving, tapping into the bigger
So do you have
markets.
an idea of how to empower local businesses in the township perhaps?
SAB is doing that. NYDA is doing that. I can attest to that. We have also many organizations
And why
that
are
are
we
doing
having
that.
unemployment risen in the townships if they are doing that and it's effective?
Like I told you, the regulations. It's very hard as an entrepreneur to thrive in a highly regulated, economy. Like I was making an example of America.
Our entrepreneurs are not
developed-
thriving because of regulation.
Regulations
That's
are
what
too
you are
much,
telling me.
and we cannot access markets due to these regulations that are holding us back as
But we
entrepreneurs.
have designers in the townships.
Yes,
and
but
they are
cannot
not
go
given the
bigger.
opportunity to sell their things in Edgar's and shops like that. So how? Give me practical. Don't theorize. Don't theorize. Give me practical things.
Like I told you, getting a liquor license is very hard. It's very hard. That is regulation right there. So now, if we could cut down on those unnecessary regulations, we could have more.
Time's up. You have the remaining 30 seconds, Philasande.
South Africans, I'm asking myself a question right now. In a country that is so desperate for entrepreneurship, why do you have to pay to register a business? How does that make sense? In a country so desperate for entrepreneurship, why should you have so many unnecessary regulations? Look at America, like I was making, for example. A developed country, biggest economy in the world, they're cutting down regulations. Why can't we do the same? Cut down unnecessary regulations, let young black people succeed. I mean, we've got people like Mr. Ditseho here who are successful in businesses.
Thank you very much. All right, Chairperson, let me come to you and just find out your impressions on that first debate. Very different viewpoints there. What is your take on what our leaders were saying?
Well, quite interesting views. And I think very solid points. For instance, there's a good point that is raised around the fact that there's a lot of regulations and there's a lot of intervention by law enforcement agencies. Why are they not protecting the entrepreneurs in the townships? I thought that was quite a good point. But I think leader number 2, he speaks about a lot of regulations. It's a big issue. Red tape, and probably one of the things that is not raising is that a lot of people want to enter into entrepreneurship. Funding has always been a big issue. But when you apply for funding, the first thing that is done is your credit checks and so on and so on. And a lot of young people, by the way, don't have credit records. They don't have credit background. So it makes it difficult for them to get funding. So I thought that was quite a big issue. But also, when we saw the insert, economic development mentions a very important point. The township economy is 100 billion in terms of the research that was done. I think one thing that the leaders need to start investigating is to say, within that 100 billion, how many or how many young people play in that space? You know, I mean, what is the share of young people in that particular 100 billion? And I think that's one thing that I would want to see come out from their own debates. Thanks.
Chair, thank you very much. Tebogo, I could see you shaking your head. You were agreeing with what the chairperson is saying. Your thoughts on how that first debate went and the verdict, please.
Well, it went very well. I just think that you both brought up substantive arguments. It's just that Bhekisisa put it in a more organized fashion, and logically it followed through much better than Philasande. But what you're saying about regulations is important. I think we do need to integrate the township economy into the mainstream economy, and that's correct. And we can do that through regulations, because you can open a hotel in Soweto, but if nobody is going there, then it can't thrive. So in this debate, the winner is Philasande. Sorry, it's Bhekisisa, but well done, Philasande.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tebogo. Now, for you at home, the voting lines are officially open. Ngakoge, vote for your favorite leader by SMSing their number to 32672. Your votes will be revealed at the top of next week's episode. Masbuye Dolo, we get into the next round of our debates. Stay tuned.
The National Youth Development Agency, it's an agency of all young people in South Africa. It's based in the presidency. We give out grants as an institution because we believe that young people must have a heads up rather than to burden them to further, loans and so on. So we've got an entrepreneurship grant, which starts actually from 1,000 rands. All the way up to 100,000 rands. There is a system now that we've developed. We always encourage young people to say start small and ensure that your business grows to wherever it wants to go. So those are some of the things that we actually busy with.
Mzansi, that message was brought to you by the NYDA. The NYDA is dedicated to playing a role in nurturing and improving the livelihoods of youth in our country. Back to the show. Tonight we're discussing, can township economies be an engine of economic growth and development? It's time for us to get on to our next debate, which will be between Sibonisile, Leader 5, and Zongezile, Leader 6. Leader 5, your 30 seconds start now.
In 2013 alone, over 1.5 million people ran informal businesses in the townships. Take your bead makers, or Mama Bama Gwina, your seamstresses. If we combined all our South African, all our township entrepreneurs, we could build and equip them with the necessary skills and infrastructure. We could build our very own Ikasi malls without, as big as Santon, without the Pick and Pays, without the H&Ms, because we can create our own goods. We're able to, but too many of our resources and our skills are
time is up.
Ready?
Your 60 seconds start now.
How can you please tell me, how do we ensure that we become competitive?
Yeah, so that's why I've said if we gave them the necessary skills and the infrastructure and we put them all together, we could create something just as big as a mall in Santon. If the government stepped in and said, because right now we're doing really well without education, imagine how it could go with
people in our
education.
townships do have skills. The only problem is that they do not understand entrepreneurship. That's what we need.
Hence
so what
the
I'm
government
saying,
coming in
exactly. So we need to teach people entrepreneurship skills first before we even go to the skills, right?
Yeah.
So what we need is that people should not become self-employed by the entrepreneurs. So you were saying that people need skills.
We already have entrepreneurs in the township economies. Bring them in, give them an infrastructure, have an office where somebody is selling.
How do we bring them in when the regulations are so hard? As he already mentioned that we have too many regulations in our country.
Right now,
so what we need to do is change the regulations that we have in our country first before we can even bring them.
Time's up. Leader 5, you have 30 seconds.
All right. Right now, a lot of our skills are going into the urban areas that are already established. We have good enough entrepreneurs in the township. And also, there's the perception that currently Somalian-owned shops are the problem. Before, in 1874, we did not have any borders. If we could bring all those expertise together, we could create our own ShopRite. If we could learn from the Somalians and they could learn from us, we could create something so big that the township economy would not need to factor into other places. People would come to
Time's
us.
up. Zongezile, you have 30 seconds.
South Africa, research has shown that in our country, the entrepreneurship activity is very low. So what she's saying is actually incorrect, but we do have skills. But what I'm proposing is that we need to change the way we regulate businesses. We can't regulate small businesses the same way as we do with big businesses. This starts from SARS, right? You can't tax small businesses. We need to change the threshold amount that they pay. The second thing that we need to do is to promote the entrepreneurship development. Teach our people how to run businesses. So we also need to give them accessibility as one of the entrepreneurs.
You have 60 seconds.
You're talking about tax and the regulations. Right now, the problem is that there aren't that many, and sponsorships aren't actually being taxed.
Actually, they are there.
No.
They are there. The problem here is that the accessibility, like she said, accessibility is the problem. So just to expand on to that, the other thing that we need to learn,
I have answered your question.
I have answered your question. The other thing that we need to focus on, this is very important. You don't understand economics. We need to understand something that talks called. Can I finish speaking? Let me finish speaking. We need to understand something called the value chain, which is what the Somalians are using. The value chain works like this. They purchase things in bulk and then they control the prices in the economy. That's how they are able to compete. So we need to understand the value chain. Once we understand that concept, once our people understand the entrepreneurship concept. What's your question?
I said taxes are not going into the township.
Your question.
That is my question. You made an incorrect thing. You said something that's not true.
We cannot solve an exponential problem using linear thinking. We need to
Time is up, leaders. You now have the remaining 30 seconds, leader 6.
As I was saying, we can't solve an exponential problem using linear thinking. If I am able to qualify to get over 500,000 by just submitting my grandmother's ID to get funding for my studies, I should be able to also get the same amount to start up my own businesses. So we need to start investing in ideas and change and lower the level of regulations in our country. So when people get funding in our country, you can't say, I'm going to give someone 500,000 because they're going to study advanced. They should also be able to get the same amount to start up their own business.
Time's up. Catherine, I see you jotting down some notes, just trying to take it all in, what our leaders had to say. How do you respond to that second debate?
Look, I think it was a very strong debate. It was really robust. You both came in with such important points. Leader 5, you are just phenomenal. You open your mouth and I just want to listen to you for hours. You were really very strong. Thank you for that. Thank you for being clear, for having an understanding of what you were putting out. You were then competing, and as Leader 6 came in, you gave us points that you unpacked very, very structured, and you came up with really important points, and this debate you're going to take, but we have to reprimand you. We cannot be insulting each other on the show. Professionalism is key and is paramount, and you would have lost it on that, but you unpacked your debate really well, and because we didn't penalize Bhekisisa on rules of engagement, we're not going to do it this time, but you have to remember, rules of engagement are there and must be adhered to. Moving forward, we will not tolerate anything less.
Thank you very much, Catherine. All right, thank you very much to our judges. Well, you can also join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page, One Day Leader SA, to share your comments on the topic. Also visit our Twitter page at One Day Leader. And remember, Mzansi, keep us trending by using the hashtag OneDayLeader6. Well, our final debate will once again be heated. We're looking forward to seeing Gugulethu and Kuhlekonke at it. Gugulethu, your 30 seconds start now.
Thank you. When local economies thrive, ordinary citizens are empowered. If we have disciplined leadership, we will not have our local economies being plagued with the lawlessness that is hampering their progress. And if you really want to understand the importance of local economies in this country, bear in mind the fact that most South African adults were put through school by incomes that were coming in from local businesses that were run from the family home. So we really need to strengthen local businesses and allow them to...
Thank you, Coco. Time's up. You have 60 seconds.
Gugu, how can we make township economies the engine of economic growth and development?
They actually are already. When we visited Gugulethu Bakery and Confectionery, we found a woman who has her business so well run, so professional, but she found that her main problem was the fact that she's not getting the contracts so that she can supply more of what her bakery produces to places like the correctional services, to hospitals. And I even asked her, how can the government help you? And she said it's really, really tough, because for her to be able to provide hospitals and to get those contracts.
If we're talking about economic growth growth, it's not just about a person's business flourishing, but we have to speak about job and employment opportunities.
Yes, it begins with the person's business flourishing. Didn't you see in the insert, the lady was saying she's already having learnerships at her bakery. She's allowing people to come and train
But do
there.
you think
She's already providing entrepreneurship and she's already providing employment through her bakery there. So if she succeeds, she gives an opportunity for the whole community to succeed.
Okay.
She gives back, she
Gugu, do you
donates when there's a funeral, when there's
business.
Thumbs up. Leader 1.
I stand here today as a young entrepreneur who has registered in 2 network marketing companies who have struggled to get off the ground. And it is not a fact that it takes too long to register a business in this country. You can go to an online website and register a business within 5 minutes. I've done that twice already. The only problem is that the government doesn't recognize this kind of entrepreneurship. We need access to markets, but we also need access to entrepreneurships. And we need access to changing this whole culture of entrepreneurship. We need more entrepreneurs so that we don't have to rely on whether or not...
Time's up. Kuhlekonke, you have the 30 seconds.
If we were to scale the success and potential of township economies to consumption goods such as ukuthenga amagwinya, we would not be assisting and doing justice to the 60% of the people who are unemployed in townships in Gauteng. So, if you want to look at the growth of economies in townships, we need to look at local production. If we're employing more people, and I think that is when you start tapping into the economy of this country. We should not be just consuming and buying clothes, but we should look into creating employment, but more than creating employment.
You have 60 seconds to engage.
So Kuhlekonke, I've already explained to you that local companies and local businesses are actually very actively creating employment. You're now going back to the same problem of unemployment. We know we've been dealing with this problem for so long. What solution do you propose for us tackling and succeeding
I get your question.
this problem?
When we look at the context of China, we note that the townships and the country actually started flourishing when they invested in the townships and the production of those townships. Now this means that if we start creating clusters, economic clusters into certain townships,
Can I jump
let's
in?
have the
there?
production.
You're comparing China to South Africa. China is almost twice the entire population.
But they were not there, and that
they
is
have
my
more
point.
people
We're
in numbers.
looking at-
You cannot make those comparisons. The numbers are not the same. The stakes are not the same. Come up with something feasible that we can do now.
Contributes 27, more than 27% into the GDP.
I'm getting
because
that
of the production.
You're
which
saying the
exists within
government
that
needs to do
municipality.
more.
So there's so much
Can
potential.
I speak? You're saying the government needs to do more, but what are people doing for themselves? You can register a business for yourself. Unemployment is not a governmental problem. It becomes a personal problem.
Kuhlekonke, you have the remaining 30 seconds.
The economy cannot develop in the absence of skills. Now, what we need to do is to recognize that the majority of our unemployed and young people are residing in townships. Now, this means that development should then take center stage within our townships. We need to have factories that are producing pads to the rest of the country situated in our townships without me going and finding a job into the city. There's so much potential in South Africans, but it's not about getting aid, but it's about realizing that let's not take development in other areas. Let's start at home. There's hope in our communities, but we need
Time's
to
up.
have
Thank you
faith.
very much. All right, Tebogo, let me come to you.
Well, that was a very tough debate, very tight, and this is not unanimous. Gugu, you came up with very important points, but it took you long again to get to that point. And sometimes you're making a very small point, but you take a long time to actually conclude on that subject. And that is something that you really need to work on, because it is taking away from your entire argument, because now you only make a few points. On the side of Kuhlekonke, creating economic clusters is a very good idea. Also discussing how they strengthen the economy of China by empowering their townships was correct. And so that is something that we could do. I think generally, it wasn't that far apart. You guys both did well, but this debate goes to Kuhlekonke.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our leaders and, of course, to our judges. Nikumbule Nanlapekaya, you continue voting by SMSing the word leader and the number of your favorite leader to 32672. And but we're careful, we will find out how our studio audience voted for their favorite leader. Welcome back to One Day Leader. We are now in the final segment of our show tonight. We're about to hear what the judges have to say about our leaders' debate challenges. Chair, I would like to get some parting words from you, just in terms of what you saw in the leadership talent that we showcased tonight.
Well, yeah, as you correctly put it, there's quite amazing talent. I think the leaders have come out strongly around some of the things that need to happen in the township economy. And quite important points, the issue of regulation must be looked into. Let's remove the red tape so that we encourage, entrepreneurship. But also the issue of unemployment. How does entrepreneurship relate to job creation? And one of the things that is happening in the township is that as much as there is employment, it's mostly informal employment. So it can actually be captured into the data and so on. And I think they spoke quite well about it. And I think as a last point, there's an important point that I think Leader 6 raises, the issue of the value chain. You know, how do we get to understand the value chain from a production to the end product? Because in between, that's where the economy lies. And I think we need to start making sure that we concentrate on the actual value chain, especially in the township economies.
Thank you very much. Well, once again, thank you very much to our judges. Before the ad break, our studio audience had an opportunity to vote, and I do have the results with me. Who will take the audience vote for tonight? Congratulations, Leader 3, Kuhlekonke. The audience have voted for you. A big thank you to our audience for participating. Let's now take a look at the scoreboard as it stands.
For the first time this season, we have a tie at the top with leaders 3 and 4 tied at 13 points each. Hubofile bana, Tonamawe. Ritobon.
To the viewers at home, remember we'll be showing your voting results at the top of next week's show. Voting closes at 1 p.m. this coming Monday. You will get to see our final scoreboard. A big thank you to everyone who joined us today, our candidates, our judges, our studio audience, and of course you at home for giving us the space to be in your home. To the chairperson of the NYDA, Mr. Sibonisile, we truly appreciate you making the time to be with us on the show this evening. Well, join us again next week for yet another exciting episode of One Day Leader. I'll leave you with the words of the late Chris Hani. He said, we need to create the pathways to give hope to our youth that they can have the opportunity through education and hard work to escape the trap of poverty. From myself, Upel Shongwe, Umtimanze, Ubambo Lunyo, Mageza Mantahleti, and the rest of the One Day Leader team, it's a wrap. Nisale kahle.